I remember this dream so vividly, even today. I was standing outside the entrance to Disneyland Park in Anaheim, California. I looked down at my hand and I had a small red ticket stub from the park in my palm. But when I turned around to walk through the gate, I realized it was closing. The wrought iron fence was being lowered, and there was a big sign saying Disneyland would be closed for an indefinite amount of time. And then I woke up. It was just a dream, right? Or was it? Because 2 months later, while researching a different topic entirely, I found myself suddenly standing in front of the closed gates of Disneyland. The place was empty, the rides were silent, and the whole area felt like a ghost town. And as I walked through the deserted park, I noticed the same red ticket stub in my pocket. As if by magic, my dream had somehow become reality. So let's ask tonight's big question. Do dreams really come true? Welcome back, everyone, to Lie Detector Files, where we separate fact from fiction to find out what really lies beneath. Each week we explore extraordinary topics normally considered outside the realm of possibility. And with each episode, our goal is to leave you with more questions than answers, because isn't it amazing how much we don't know? But before we jump in, make sure to subscribe for weekly doses of the unknown. Leave your feedback in the comments below and tell us which of tonight's theories you think is correct. In the Western world, our interpretation of dreams has been heavily influenced by Sigmund Freud, who believed dreams allowed us to express repressed desires and unresolved issues from our waking lives. He said they gave us a safe space to act out unacceptable impulses without fear of consequence. Basically, dreaming was like a therapeutic session in the middle of the night. But most people have little interest in analyzing their dreams to gain insight into their deepest desires. Instead, they want to know if their dreams will come true. This might seem like a simple question, but it's actually quite complex. For example, one survey of nearly 2,000 people found that 63% of them had experienced a precognitive dream, meaning a dream that predicted something about the future. The scary part is that 75% of those dreams were of an ominous nature. They dreamed of death, violence, or other negative outcomes that happened to them or someone they knew in real life. Other studies have shown that these types of prophetic dreams aren't just random occurrences. They're often linked to an increased risk of heart disease, stroke, or other physical problems. So how does the human brain predict the future? And why do some dreams warn us of danger? Well, according to Dr. Patricia Garfield, one theory is that the brain tries to compensate for threats by providing warning signs in our dreams. She says when we encounter a potential threat in our waking lives, our brains process the situation and plan possible solutions, even if we're not consciously aware of it. Then when we sleep, our brains replay the scenario in our dreams, allowing us to mentally rehearse how to react if the threat becomes a reality. Essentially, dreams allow our brains to prepare for potential threats by simulating them in a safe environment, but sometimes dreams can also fulfill our wishes. Take, for example, the story of George Washington Carver, the man credited with inventing peanut butter. According to legend, he once dreamed of eating an egg and toast for breakfast, but he was working in a lab at the time and didn't have any food around. So instead, he looked around for something similar to toast and settled on a slice of raw potato. He sliced it into thin pieces, spread some nut butter on top, and voila, peanut butter and potato chips were born. While we couldn't find any evidence that Carver really invented peanut butter or ate his famous sandwich, it still makes for a fun story about how dreams can sometimes align with our desires. And that's not all. Sometimes dreams can also reflect our spiritual beliefs. For example, Joseph, a young Hebrew man sold into slavery by his jealous brothers, had a series of dreams that foretold his future greatness. In the biblical story of Genesis, he interpreted the dreams of fellow prisoners and Pharaoh, correctly predicting their futures and rising to become the ruler of Egypt. Similarly, many Christians believe Jesus predicted his own resurrection and ascension into heaven through his teachings and parables. In fact, the word prophecy is mentioned over 80 times in the New Testament, with Jesus himself making more than 30 predictions about his death and resurrection. Most scholars agree that Jesus' teachings and actions were guided by divine inspiration, which enabled him to accurately predict events that happened after his death. However, it's important to note that not everyone agrees on the accuracy of Jesus' predictions. Some argue that many of the supposed prophecies were actually written after the fact to fit Jesus' actions and teachings. Others claim that even if some of Jesus' predictions were accurate, it doesn't necessarily mean they were divine. For example, the Roman historian Tacitus wrote about the crucifixion of Jesus about 120 years after it allegedly occurred, suggesting that news of the event must have circulated widely throughout the empire. This could mean that knowledge of Jesus' execution may have leaked out somehow, enabling him to make accurate predictions about his fate. But whether or not we believe in religious prophecies, there's no denying that dreams can sometimes seem eerily accurate. We may not have all the answers, but science has some theories. One of the most compelling theories about prophetic dreams comes from Dr. David Fontana, who believes that déjà vu, or the feeling of having already experienced something in the present moment, can play a role. Déjà vu literally means already seen in French, and occurs when we feel like we've already experienced the current situation, even though we know logically that this isn't possible. Some researchers believe this phenomenon happens due to a split-second delay between the brain's processing of sensory information. When this happens, our brain essentially experiences the event twice, once with a delay and once without. This creates a feeling of familiarity, as if we've already experienced the event, even though we haven't. Another theory suggests that déjà vu is linked to memories stored in our hippocampus. This part of the brain plays a key role in processing emotions and transferring them to other parts of the brain for storage. If the hippocampus mistakenly retrieves a memory from the wrong context, it can create a sense of familiarity. For example, if you smell a certain perfume and your hippocampus mistakenly links it to a past experience, you may feel like you've met the person wearing the perfume before, even if you haven't. Essentially, prophetic dreams are essentially déjà vu in reverse. The brain receives information about a future event and processes it, creating a sense of familiarity when it eventually occurs. But that's not all. Some researchers believe that lucid dreaming, or the ability to be aware that you're re-dreaming while you're re-asleep, can also play a role in prophetic dreams. By understanding how our brains work and the psychology behind dreams, we can potentially increase our chances of having prophetic dreams. According to Dr. Alan Watts, an English writer and speaker, our brains use patterns to process information. When we notice a pattern, we try to predict what will happen next, based on our previous experiences and knowledge. For example, if we see a cloud in the sky that looks like a certain shape, we might say it looks like a bird, even though it's not actually there. Our brains are always trying to make sense of the world around us, and dreams are no exception. When we dream, our brains create scenarios based on our experiences and memories, often using familiar settings and characters. But sometimes these dreams can feel strangely familiar, as if we've already experienced them in real life. This is where déjà vu comes in. Some researchers believe that déjà vu occurs when our brains recognize a pattern in a dream that we've experienced before. Essentially, instead of creating a new scenario, our brains use a pre-existing one, giving us the impression that we've already lived through the dream. This is a fascinating concept, and it raises a lot of questions about the nature of reality and the limits of human perception. But ultimately, the truth is that we don't know for sure how déjà vu works or whether it's related to prophetic dreams at all. But if you're still dreaming of the future, here's another theory. Carl Jung, the founder of analytical psychology, believed that prophetic dreams were messages from our collective unconscious. This is a universal storehouse of memories and experiences shared by all humans across cultures and time periods. Jung argued that access to this collective unconscious can be unlocked through dreams, allowing us to receive guidance and insight into our future. He called these prophetic dreams, which can provide valuable information about our destiny or offer solutions to problems in our waking lives. So are dreams just random brain activity, or are they windows into our future? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for weekly doses of the unknown. Thank you for watching and tuning in. It's been a pleasure exploring the mysteries of dreams with you. Until next time, stay curious and keep dreaming big.